be introducing our speakers for today. Sandeep Sir, a director from NetWeb, and Ritish, business development manager from Intel. Please take note that we will not be taking any questions through voice chat. And, to please leave your questions in the Q&A section, whereby we will answer it in our Q&A session later in the webinar. So let's just start off with our first speaker, Sandeep. You can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Samantha, for that introduction. Welcome everybody to this exciting webinar which we are going to have today and spending some time with us. I can assure you that if you do not know about the technologies which we are going to talk about, this would be somewhat paradigm shifting kind of technology which we will be talking about. So first I will introduce NetWeb to you. We do have presence in about 5 countries, and we do have more than 10,000 customers basically over those years. We do have more than 500 successful HPC installations. We do have thousands and thousands of GPU installations already done. We have got cloud deployments which are running more than 5 countries now. We do work on AI, big data. On AI, we do work on various things, including data science and other stuff. We do have a product engineering team, which is a world-class product engineering team. We do have the failure ratio for our products had been one of the lowest in the industry. And today, 70%, more than 70% of our customers are referred by our customers. Probably that is the biggest testimonial which I could speak about. We do have 3 integration facilities, and those are in India, Singapore, and Indonesia. Coming to our solutions, basically, we do have data center computing solutions. We do have about 500 servers basically already there on our website, and also for the workstation. In case we do not have anything and you need something, you can come back to us and we might be able to give it to you. On the storage side, we do have unified storage, which is it has got a NAS, SAN, and a virtual tape library all together in one device. It can support up to 500 hard drives. So with the new latest hard drive, it can be a pretty large storage which can be made. And it can support every kind of a network, talking about all form of Ethernets, fiber channel, InfiniBand, Omnipath, and it supports everything. We do also have storage solutions based on your Ceph and Cinder and other stuff. We do have a archival solution and specific solution designed for surveillance, which can scale up to or more than 30, 40 petabytes and things like that. We have been doing a lot of cluster solutions, HPC clusters, storage solutions, and we have got a huge installation based on them. On the HPC side, we do have HPC cluster, GPU clusters. We do also have SMP and management tools also with us, which changes the entire way how you work on HPC. We do have a concept called mixed workload, and this mixed workload concept is where you decide as a user that how much of what you need to do. And also it takes care of all the software components to define your containers, workloads, also your virtualized HPC environment inside your application, also in a hybrid environment. So we do design a whole lot of HPC for you. On the cloud, we have been doing pretty much everything. We have been setting up public cloud, private cloud, hybrid, and we do have our own cloud tools. We are going to launch our own hyperconverged solution, which would be very soon in the market. Talking on the big data, we have been working on most of the things. We have been doing a large installations to small installations on big data, Hadoop, with Spark programming and things like that. Also, we do have a data science team and a deep learning team which can look at your problems and try to solve them out. Talking on the containerization, we do have a container platform, which I would be speaking more about. And we also have Kubernetes as a service, as well as we have got a productized platform for Kubernetes to work out on various workloads. So we had an exciting journey. It's more than 20 years of journey which we have. In 2003, we reached a point, where we had India's fastest supercomputer. and we have been never looking back from there. Today we do have a huge amount of platforms which are there, including Skylus, Cubites, and we are able to do our own engineered products. So we had a very exciting journey, and we are very excited about that. So talking about this, we do have a huge center where we do have a testing facilities. We have got our data center, and we do have a innovation labs and R&D labs and all those kind of stuff. We can test up a huge big infrastructure at our location. We do it for small as well as the big ones. Talking about our end-to-end HPC solutions, basically, why I choose this slide is because HPC had been one of the mainstay at NetWeb for pretty long, and we do offer everything which is required, starting from the servers, appliances, networking, a parallel file system, and maybe unified storage and all those kind of stuff. These are our fully engineered products, basically. So we do have a Tyron container platform, which is essentially based on Kubernetes to manage your modern microservices related workloads. And we can design your solution, and whichever way you want, we can really work on. And based on this, we are coming with some certain solutions for AI and other world. Kubites, I would be talking in details. It's a container optimized cloud which we have, and Skylus is going to be our cloud in a box, basically a HCI solution, which is going to be very easy and fast to deploy, and you can grow it from very small to very, very large one. We also have a Tyron Cloud Suite, which is going to be used for, suppose you want to set up a private cloud or something like that, you can really do with it. We are really proud of our innovation labs inside NetWeb. Today, we do have all these engineered products and all those kind of solutions which we design for our customers. We continuously keep on working on them. We thrive on your challenges. The challenges which you throw at us, basically, we want to work on them, and we want to come out with the solutions to that. And those have been our keystone, where we have been able to move with our products and solution. All our new products and solutions have come from those challenges which you throw at us. So we have got a lot of services, it is HPC or cloud or anything, planning, consultancy services, setting up your AI labs, backup, disaster recovery kind of things, or anything related to containers, VM, cloud migration, integration, and data center related services. We are in 5 locations. We have got 3 integration facilities. We are quite good in the Southeast Asia. We are quite popular in India. We do have several locations almost in every large city or town. So these are some of our customers. We have got an exciting range of customers. We have been able to put some of them here. So if you see pretty much on every kind of a segment, we do have some of those customers. Some of them are Fortune 500 companies, large education institutes, government, and you talk about that, and media entertainment. So whole lot of customers we have got. Today, I want to talk about how a multi-accelerator concept is going to be the cornerstone of the new AI deployments which are going to happen. It cannot be one accelerator for all the solution. It has to be multi-accelerator, and why it is required and how it is required. So talking about that, today we require more computational power and very cost efficiency. These are very, very key, which would be important for your modern AI workload, which you are going to address. You need to have the accelerators from cloud to edge and anything between them. So you will require a different accelerator approach or programming paradigms and everything. And you have to see that how you can match up with all of these when you are working on a AI workflow. Of course, you need a faster insights, and this is how world is working. And the appetite for getting faster insights is not going down anyways. So talking about that, multi accelerator architecture is going to be the way. You cannot use one single architecture at various locations. There are several challenges at every locations. Apart from price, performance, and use, there are going to be a lot of challenges out there. Let us look at some of them. Uh, 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 Today, AI computing is required at a various levels. So you require it for learning, you require for inferencing, edge, and cloud, right? So you have got various requirements, and you cannot say that I want to use the learning one. It might be sufficient to do the inferencing, or it might not be also at the same time, but it might be sufficient for maybe for a given workload. But the cost which would be involved in a learning accelerator would be not too good for the inferencing. And inferencing will have different kind of a challenges. You need to serve many people. You must need to serve many people in a cost effective way. How do you do that? Edge has got its own challenges. It might require some bit of learning also. It might require a lot of inferencing. So whole lot of things have to be managed. So basically, a multi accelerator architecture is the way to go. And since the learning market is booming, and learning market will definitely, all those learnings which are happening has to affect the inference market, because inference market is even going to be much more bigger than the learning market. There is no doubt about it. It is already going good, but it is going to be a much more bigger market than the learning market. uh, we do have expensive hardware, which can be a overkilling for a thing like a inferencing or a edge. We cannot keep on putting same hardware everywhere. We have got a complex AI workload, which require maybe hardware and a parallel processing and programmable hardware basically. So you cannot address everything with one kind of a hardware which can be used for learning or any particular thing. So you need to have a strategy where you need to have a multi accelerator strategy. Today, a lot of customer comes to us. They are talking about performance with power budget, and they have a fixed dollar budget and a fixed power budget. How do you fix the entire workflow, the AI workflow from learning to the deployment? So this is very, very key, that we need to have a multi approach. We are going to have a diversity on the hardware which is going to be there. We have to have some kind of a programming paradigm which kind of connects all these things. These are the challenges which are also there in our multi accelerator architecture. And when you are deploying those deep learning algorithms on the edge, of course, there kind of a horsepower is not going to be there, and it's going to maybe slow down your inferencing. So you need to have a proper hardware there, proper programming paradigm there to address all these challenges. So we need to bridge these gaps, and multi accelerator architecture is going to be the way how we can address them. So if you see the market trends and things like that, you can already see that the inference market is a pretty large compared to what already the training market is. And on the edge also, there is going to be a huge amount of increase. So basically, this is going to, the trend is going, setting up where we are already seeing that how the entire ecosystem is going to work. So talking about the ecosystem, if you see, we do have diverse hardware and diverse accelerators, like GPU is there, CPUs are getting very powerful. We are getting more number of cores, very easy to program. We do have FPGAs, we do have edge computing, and what happens is, those kind of hardware, diverse hardware is going to be there. How do you work on this kind of a diverse hardware? So we do have containers and VM platforms like Kubernetes, TCM, Tyrone Cluster Platform, a container platform. So what happens there is, we do have a containerized, ready-made containerized applications which are there, and it can be very quickly deployed over your hardware. And taking all the software ecosystems now, On the software ecosystems, we have got the programming models are there. Then we have got those uh, 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 frameworks which are there. Like TensorFlow, Cafe. One API is one of the exciting software ecosystem which is there, and we will be hearing more about that and how it is going to change the entire ecosystem and make this ecosystem, which is going to be the sustainable ecosystem going forward, a reality. Okay. So the role play is not only the hardware, it is also the software, and both together is going to change the world. I'll talk more about the qubits and how it is going to be a very exciting thing to happen and to take your journey towards this kind of a new ecosystem. Uh, Talking about qubits, so it's a repository of a lot of curated container applications which are already there, and it is going to be and for example, we are going to have our one API containers also very soon inside our qubit cloud. It is very easy to build. You can ship, you can transfer, you can run through various hardware, various clouds, and easily to be portable. Okay. And this particularly basically supports also is HPC and AI workloads, and we are going to increase more. And we have got support for all kind of accelerator. It is not that we are going to support only one kind of accelerator. We are going to have even CPU support, FPGA, and talk about the GPUs, various kinds of GPUs, everything. So these are right now about 50 plus containerized applications are there, and we do have more than hundreds of containers already there in qubits. We are increasing them at a very rapid pace for now. So some of the key features which I would like to connect with you. It is basically a repository of containers and support CPU, GPU, FPGA. It is innovation in seconds, because you want to do your science, right? You want to do your application. You don't want to keep on waiting and configuring each and everything. You want to run also run multiple apps simultaneously. You can actually do with this. And you want a simplified deployments, something which can be done very fast and easily. Qubits is already getting a lot of certified hardware is coming up from our side. There are certified workstations and clusters which are qubit certified. You can quickly deploy qubits over them, and you can keep on running on those. It reduces your cost, and it comes with a Tyron AI expert, so that can handhold you to move forward. Just to give you an idea, we are coming up with this qubit cloud. Once you get connected to with a qubit certified hardware, and you can just download any application container from the cloud, and you can just install it in few seconds, and you get almost a bare metal performance out of that container. So it's an excellent product with programming paradigms like one API. This is going to revolutionize your AI workflow. I will now call up on Ritesh ji to come up and speak on this. I don't want to steal the thunder from him, and once he talks about one API, you will know that what we are going to have as a new paradigm. So I'll just close my presentation right now, and I will switch to his presentation. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
1 second. Oh God. Sorry, 1 second. Give me a time. Yeah. Over to you, Ritesh.
Thank you, Sandeep, and NetWeb team for the invitation and organizing this webinar in collaboration with Tyron, NetWeb, and Intel Software. And welcome to everyone. I'm sure this will be an interesting session. And as Samantha mentioned in the beginning, if you have any queries, please post it on a Q&A session, and we will take up after this session. So as you heard in the previous session by Sandeep about the multiple architectures requirement. Today, so he did address all the challenges. So about one is, it's good that we have a now situation where we have a complex workloads, and the requirement needs multiple architecture approach. But along with other challenges, you also have one challenge, which is programming challenges, right? Like as you know, you have different architectures, and different architecture needs to be handled differently. So each kind of hardware data centric typically needs to be programmed using different programming languages. It also needs different libraries, and you have to maintain a separate code bases, right? And in addition to that, maintaining different libraries and languages and codes, there is also an inconsistent tool support across the platforms. Means a developer have to waste time in learning different test set of tools, which increases the learning curve for any developer. So that also means developing the software for each hardware platform requires separate investment. So when I say the investment, that is investment in terms of the time, the man hours. And with that, it will also give very less ability to reuse that work, right? So you have invested so much of man hour in developing a software for a particular hardware, and it is so disappointing that you cannot reuse that effort and the time what you have invested, right? Because of the target, right? So because of the different architecture. So you are spending the time in learning the new set of tools, and you are also investing time in developing the software for each hardware. And unfortunately, you are not able to use all those things when you change the architecture. So next slide, please. So yeah, so this is the, like when I say programming challenges, it's not only the programming challenges, it also has other hidden aspects of investing your time in developing the hardware, and also uh, reusability, right? Now this is the problem statement, like as Sandeep mentioned about the requirement of multiple architectures, and along with that, what are the associated challenges. So today in this session, we will hear about one API. Why are we coming up with this tool, right? So the Intel solution for this problem statement is one API. So it is a project which delivers a unified software development across CPU, GPU, and other accelerator architectures like FPGA or VPU, like the Vision Processing Unit, which is MOVIDS, which is very popularly used in inference at the edge. So I would rather say it as a accelerator architectures. So the one API is, in short, if I want to tell what is one API, it's a unified software development environment across various architectures, including CPU, GPU, FPGA, and other accelerators. So the other advantage of this is it provides you the cutting edge performance features across the latest hardwares, existing as well as the latest hardwares. Plus, it is compatible with existing high performance languages and programming models, including C++, which is very popular, OpenMP, Fortran, and MPI, which is very popular in HPC cluster environment. So it is compatible with all the existing performance, high performance languages and programming models. Next slide, please. Okay, so the One API is basically an industry initiative. It is based on standards, and it is based on open specifications. One API also includes a unified language and libraries that delivers full native code performances. It also delivers native code performance across the range of hardwares, including CPUs, GPUs, FPGAs, and AI accelerators. So one API is basically a foundation programming language or a stack, and it is used to optimize middleware and frameworks, which sits on top of it. It also includes AI frameworks if you are an AI developer or application. So the one API also includes the AI frameworks such as TensorFlow, and it is optimized by user and industry applications which sit on top. And some of the some of which leverages the advantages or the features of middlewares and the frameworks. So Intel's product is a reference implementation. So One API, as I said, is an industry initiative, and we also have a Intel One API toolkits. So the Intel One API toolkit, it includes advanced porting, analysis, and debugger tools, which we will see in the later slide, that span the software stack. So with the help of these analysis tools and the debugger tools, so you can debug and profile your code across all levels of abstractions. Next slide, please. So the one of the key element of One API is data parallel C++ programming language. So it is a high level programming language which is designed for data parallel programming productivity. Data parallel C++ basically is based on the C++ language for a broad compatibility. We all know how useful and how popular and how powerful C++ language is. So this is data parallel C++ in short it is called DPC++, is based on C++ language. And it also provides you the full native high level language performance, which is on par with standard C++. It also simplifies the code migration from proprietary languages with a programming model which is familiar to GPU software developers. The starting point is SYCL, being developed under the industry consortium called Kronos Group. And Intel is addressing the gaps in the languages through the extensions that will drive into the standards. So it's a consortium which is Intel is also contributing to bridge the gaps. It includes the source code to source code compatibility tool. So which basically assist you with the migration of let's say CUDA code to DPC++ code. Uh, and it will also leverages well proven LLVM compiler technologies, as well as Intel's history of compiler leaderships. If you have already used uh, Intel software tools, we have C++ and Fortran programming languages and compilers which are more than 2-3 decades old, and they are running successfully on various applications and architectures. And there will be still you need to tune these architectures. So that is where, like, in my previous slide I said, like, along with all these programming tools you also need the analysis tools and the uh, uh, performance tools. So next slide, please. Yeah. So along with the programming languages, we also have powerful One API libraries. As you can see here, we have a math kernel library, uh, which was very popular, and many of our users are using it. So all these libraries currently which were available on the CPU, now with the help of One API, all these libraries are now converted or optimized for Intel hardware and also for the multiple various architectures. So earlier these were available only for the CPUs. Now the same libraries are useful for GPUs and other architectures. Next slide, please. So with this, what I'm trying to show you is the roadmap of One API along with the industry initiative progress. So, as I represent the Intel software team here. So we do have software which are more than 20-30 years old. And believe me, like all our software, generally we used to have around 6 months or 9 months beta before we go for the gold launch. So this is the first time you can see One API industry initiated started way back in 2019, and we are having a One API gold, which is actually we announced it in the supercomputing, and but the gold release is in December. So we have had a various specs here. One API versions you can see here: dot 6, dot 7, 0.8, and 0.9. And before we are launching One API 1.0 version. So this is the longest, I would rather say the tool which the time when we announce and the time when we are releasing, so that we make sure the tool is properly tested and it supports all the features. So those who are already using our one API software or Intel software tools, around 70 to 80% of the components inside one API are there in the market. Like for example, Intel C++ compilers, Fortran, all the libraries which I discussed in the earlier slides, analysis tools, they are all tried and tested. The new things which we have added is the one which I have covered earlier is the DPC++ and plus the compatibility tool. So along with the one API industry initiation, there are also adoptions. If you can see in the next line, CodePlay one API which supports NVIDIA GPU plus University of Heidelberg which supported delivered one API on a AMD GPU support. So these are one API ecosystem supports. You can see. I will not read out all the names. You can see here. So you have all the one API industry ecosystem support, starting from AI Singapore and says. So I don't want to read out all the names because I may miss somebody. But you can see all the names here, all the popular names who are part of one API ecosystem support for timing. And this list will be it will be evolving, so we'll keep on adding the new names. So this is the initial slide, I would say the impact or the ecosystem partners what we have. Next slide please. Yeah, so on the one API ecosystem support, so these are two of the major I would say that you can see the codes from the two popular two popular brands. So TensorFlow, they have implemented one API, and they have complemented that one API complements TensorFlow's modular design, and it also provides increased choice of hardware vendor and processor architecture, and faster support of next generation accelerators. And TensorFlow also uses one API today on the Xeon processor, and I look forward to use one API to run future Intel architectures. On the Azure side, you can see the code here. Uh, they are excited to support customers with the choice and accelerate through the growth of AI and machine learning. Next one, please. Yeah. So on the Intel one API uh, reference implementation side with the toolkits. So we have, as you can see in this slide, we have different types of programming. For direct programming, we have data parallel C++, which is an evolution which we saw earlier is from the C++ for productive data-centric coding that will target CPU, GPU, FPGA, and AI accelerators. We will also provide a source code to source code porting tool, which will ease the transition to the DPC++ for the developers with existing codes which are written in CUDA. We have a tool called Intel DPC++ compatibility tool, which will help you to do the source code to source code porting. For API based programming, which is mentioned over here, the other type of programming, the range of performance libraries are included, which are spanning across several workload domains that benefit from the acceleration. So library functions are basically custom coded for each target architecture. So no developers uh, tuning is required when developers migrate code between supported architectures. And finally, you have when you develop such a complex workloads and solutions, you need to analyze that code, you need to debug them, and for that you need tools. So those tools, we already have or had those tools for various architectures. Sorry, so for we had these tools for our CPU. Now with the help of one API, the same set of tools, the advantages of these analysis and debug tools can be extended to other architectures as well. So note, like for example, if VTune is one of the very popular tool for analysis. and Advisor. So these were the two popular tools which our existing CPU users have already used it, which are more than 1 or 2 decade old tools. Now those tools you can use it for other architectures as well. So the next slide, please. So yeah, so the Intel DP++ compatibility to, before I go to the analysis tools, I'll give brief about this. Basically, it bridges the gap between the languages. So DP++ compatibility tool will assist you to migrate your existing CUDA apps to DP++ app. So the migrated DP++ code includes your pure DP++ code. It will also include the compatibility API. It will also include the comments, unchanged CUDA code, and also it will also give you the hints where are the when feasible on how to migrate and migrate the rest manually. So it will give you some tips or hints on that. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier about the analysis tools, so these are three popular tools which our existing CPU users are using. So Intel Advisor tool, debug for debug we have Intel distribution of GDP, and then the VTune. So as the name suggests, so let's start with VTune. It's a the name as it says, it's a VTune profiler. So along with the C++, it will also analyze the DP++ tool, and you can tune it for CPUs, GPUs, and FPGAs. It also optimizes the offload performance. And since it's an analysis tool, so the supported languages are DP, C++, C, C++, Fortran, Python, Go, Java, or mix of languages. On the advisor, basically, as the name suggests, it advises you what are the ways you can increase the efficiency, and or how can you optimize your code on CPU and GPU, not only on the compute but also on the memory side. It will also enable you more vector parallelism, and it will help you to improve the efficiency of the overall system, not only on the compute but the overall system efficiency. It will help you to improve. Plus, it will also add the effective threading to unthread. If you have unthreaded applications, it will also advise you how can you write a effective threaded, programming or the threaded code, so that you get the benefits of the compute efficiently. On the debug side, we have this Intel distribution for GDP. Again, it supports multiple architecture accelerators, like along with CPU. It will also support GPU and FPGA emulation, and it will also enables you with a deep system-wide debug of DPC++, C++, C, and Fortran code. So the message here is like use of all this advanced tool will help you to efficiently debug and profile your code across all the levels of abstractions. Next slide, please. Yeah. So we saw about one API, why it is important. We started with the problem statement, like why you need to have a unified programming language, and what is the solution to it. And now let's dig into deep what it includes. So one API is basically Intel One API comes with a different set of tools which expands from CPU to, we call it as not only GPU or CPU. It basically it expands from existing CPU support to XPU supports. So we have different sets of toolkits, starting with the base toolkit. So the base toolkit basically includes data parallel C++. It includes all the tools. When I say tools, basically it is compilers and libraries, starting with C++, DP++, and it also includes the one API library based applications which I mentioned earlier. So all the native code developers will can use one API based toolkit. Then on top of that, we have domain specific toolkits. Let's say you have a HPC developers, or you have a HPC applications. So you can have one API based toolkit plus HPC toolkit. So HPC toolkits, as because most of the HPCs are running more than decades, so most of the codes are written in Fortran. So Fortran, so it delivers a fast Fortran, OpenMP and MPI applications, which that scales basically. And we also have IoT customers. A lot of our IoT customers use our tool. So earlier we used to have a tool called Intel System Studio, whereas for HPC, most of our customers were using Intel Parallel Studio. So all the Parallel Studio users will be transition to one API HPC toolkits, whereas all the embedded and IoT customers will find one API uh, uh, IoT toolkit uh, useful, because all the System Studio toolkits will be in one API IoT toolkit. So it will help you to build reliable solutions that run on network edge. Then we also had a media server studio or media system studio for all the rendering applications. For that, we have one API rendering toolkit. So like applications which I can quote here is like broadcasting, encoders, decoders, transcoder applications, or media related applications. So we have libraries which help you to compress, decompress, encode, decode all those video files, and which are optimized on Intel hardware. Along with all these domain specific toolkits, we also have toolkits which are called powered by one API. I'm sure most of you might have heard about the one of the popular tool, which is OpenVINO. So OpenVINO basically, it delivers high performance, inference and applications from edge to cloud. So Open Toolkit will be available as a standalone, as well as it can be bundled with any one of the, because now I would rather say AI is not a vertical; it has become like an horizontal, which will cut across all the verticals, right? So you can find AI related applications in IoT customers, even in HPC customers. So that's why one API can be integrated with base toolkit, or it can be integrated with any of the IoT toolkits. So that's why we call them as like one API toolkits, which are powered by these are the toolkits which are powered by one API. So along with OpenVINO, we also have a AI analytics toolkits, so which can be used independently, or it can be bundled with the existing toolkits. Next slide, please. Yeah. So now currently, if you want to try it out, we have the tools which you can evaluate it. But again, a word of caution here. These are available on the DevCloud. So DevCloud is basically only for the evaluation purpose. It is not recommended for the production version. So if you just want to evaluate it, then you can use it. Otherwise, for the production version, the dev clouds are not recommended. So if you want to develop a real serious applications, and which you want to target for the installation and for scaling up, next slide, please. Yeah, so we have a commercial one API toolkits available. So these toolkits comes with a priority support from Intel. So we will be having a worldwide support from Intel technical consulting engineers. Plus, we also have one API technology partners like NetWeb, who can support you on these products, not only on the commercial side, plus also on the technical support with that. So uh, uh, so just for the people, the attendees here who know one API, or sorry, those who know Intel software tools or used it in the past. So here how it looks like. So if you have this Parallel Studio XE here currently, if you are using this, so this will translate into one API base toolkit plus one API HPC toolkit. So these two put together will be Parallel Studio XE edition. So again, in XC and in Parallel Studio, we had three editions, like Composer edition, Professional edition, and Cluster edition. So cluster edition generally for multiple nodes. So again, we have HPC toolkit is available in two versions, single node and multiple node. So basically HPC toolkit multiple node along with base toolkit will form Intel Parallel Studio cluster edition, which is very widely popular in the HPC customer base. Coming to the IoT customers, so we had this Intel System Studio. So Intel System Studio is nothing but a base toolkit plus IoT toolkit. So when you combine these toolkit, that is nothing but Intel System Studio. Similarly, the third one is base toolkit plus the rendering toolkit. So that that put together will translate into the existing toolkit, which was Media SDK toolkit. Next slide, Sandeep. Yeah. So here we will see some of the examples, development examples. I would rather quote here by one of our institutional partner called Jews Institute in Berlin. So they have developed ZIV ported easy web applications, which they ported from CUDA to DPC++, and now it's delivering performance across the multiple architectures. So here you can see what are the Intel tools they have used. They have used Intel One API, Xeon CPUs. Then it's Xe is basically an integrated GPU. Along with that, we have Intel Statics is basically an FPGA, Intel FPGA. So with that, they have achieved a strong performance across Intel CPU, GPU, and FPGA architecture, and within 5% of CUDA performance on the existing solution. These application details and the development examples are available on our public domain. You can go and see more details on the website. Next slide, please. Yeah. So as I said, DevCloud is available, so you can use it. So just for as I mentioned earlier, so these are used only for the development purpose. So you can go try it out. Basically, it is only for evaluation purpose. I want to stress it highly, and we don't recommend it for the production versions. Next slide, please. Yeah. For One API adoption and support, we have various ecosystem partners. We have training partners. We also have a lot of webinars, online webinars, courses, developer guides, sample codes. You can go and check it out. On the links are available. We also have academic One API Center of Excellence. Who are like lighthouses in all the countries. So they also have adapted One API. We have community with One API, open specification, and DevMesh innovator sites. We will be having lots of summits and workshops like how now we are doing one with NetWeb. So we'll keep continuing in that in coming days and months. And we also have industry experts who are called as One API certified instructors. And we also have One API technology partners such as NetWeb. And like lastly, when I said like we also have a DevCloud, it's like a tool which you can evaluate it for having a feel of One API. So next slide, please. Yeah. So these are some of the resources you can very well go and have a look at it. Like you have One API software link where you can go and learn and get started. A lot of documentations are available, trainings are available, code samples are available. We also have all the industry initiatives here at oneapi.com. In One API industry specification, open source implementations are there. We also have a ecosystem community forum, academy, and also DevMesh innovator projects. Next one. Yeah. So before I conclude, so basically the key takeaways or maybe the summary, what I'd like to highlight here is like basically when you have a diverse workloads which are driving the need for heterogeneous compute architectures, but each architecture has required separate or it needs different set of programming language. So One API basically is a cross architecture programming model which provides you the freedom of choice, right? Like it will, you can apply your skills to the next innovation and not rewriting the software again and again for the next hardware, right? So once you develop your code, once you apply your skills, write the code, you can reuse it. So that's the main key takeaway here. And also one API, Intel One API products takes the full advantages of accelerated compute by maximizing the performance across the Intel CPUs, GPUs, and FPGAs. So we had all those analysis tools, debug tools, which were currently supported and available only for CPU. Now they can be made available to other architectures as well. And you can also make the development fast and efficient with a complete set of cross architecture libraries like MKL, TPP, IPP. So we had so many libraries. All those libraries are now you can use it for cross architectures and the advanced tools which I mentioned, right? So you can use it with interoperate and also with the existing performance programming language. So with that, I would like to end my session. Once again, I would like to thank, so there's some disclaimer, I would like to thank NetWeb, Sandeep, Sanjay ji, and the complete NetWeb team for organizing this webinar. Over to you, Sandeep ji.
Thank you so much, Riteshi, for this exciting presentation. I think we should go and take few of the questions now, right?
Sure, sure.
Um,
So you want to share the PQ&As? Maybe I can, we can
Q&A
open
is
it up.
there, I think, in our chat windows.
Okay, okay. Let me.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
there's a
then
question I
you
will
can take
take
the
for
question.
Qbytes.
Yeah,
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 some of the Qbytes questions I will take.
yeah.
Can I get Qbytes for my existing system? Yes, if it is a Qbyte certified, I mean, a certified system, yes, you can do that. Or any Tyron workstation is there, or any of those machines are there. You can get in touch with our people, and they can help you out in getting the Qbytes on that. Uh, do you support Qbytes in a clustered environment? Of course, yes, we do support Qbytes in a clustered environment, uh, where you can use in a cluster, or we can also help out in forming up a Kubernetes based cluster. So basically you can use something on that also. When would be Qbytes available? Yeah. So basically Qbytes is already available. Typically the Qbyte cloud is going to take some time, but then that should be also up and running in few months from now. So right now Qbytes is definitely available. We are at a very rapid pace. We are increasingly including a lot of the containers and things like that. Next question is, can one API be used with other platform
Yeah.
accelerators? Ritesh?
Yeah, I can take. So the question is, can one API be used with other platform accelerators? So answer is the one API currently supports Intel CPU, Intel FPGAs, and Intel GPUs. So just to add, DPC++ is an open standard and it can be used by any vendor basically. But one API is a Intel product which currently supports Intel devices.
Right. Okay. Next question is again for you. How does one API differ from OpenCL?
Yeah, good, very good question. So one API on the couple of things. So one API is basically a single source like host plus device as against OpenCL. And second difference I would quote here is one API has two backends, OpenCL and L0. So we don't need to wait for OpenCL for a feature to be implemented. The third differentiation is one API is much more user friendly, considering the user point of writing the codes. As I mentioned earlier, like you don't need to rewrite your code again and again for various architectures. So, for example, the multiple lines of codes which you write in OpenCL can be concised into a one line code in one API.
Right. Okay. What are the cost implication of Qbyte? So yeah, so there are cost implications, but if you are buying more Qbyte certified, then those Qbyte certified machines are going to come inbuilt with the Qbyte support. We would be definitely figuring it out how we give it to other systems. So those implications would be known. but it will be worth every penny, that I can assure you. Next question is there any hands-on training class on one API? Yeah, so yeah,
I
so there are
can.
a lot of them, right?
Yes, yes. So there are some already, like as I say, shared in my slides. So there are some training already material available on our public domain.
Right,
Also, we will be doing like how we are doing the webinar. We in future we would like to do the workshops along with NetWeb. We can plan those maybe in 2021. And
right,
if anybody is looking the training in this year, so on 8th, I think 8th of December, we are doing one API workshop with which is called NUS Datathon.
datathon,
Uh,
right.
yeah, so we have I think on the 8th of December there is one API workshop which is scheduled. So anybody who are interested, maybe they can reach out to NetWeb team or to me. We can then help them. That's an immediate workshop I can suggest.
Correct.
Plus, as
And
I said, like we will plan next year also
yeah,
on the
correct.
request basis. Yeah.
There are limited seats, so anybody from Singapore interested, they can really do it very, very fast on this particular event. Then coming down to, do you have application white papers for HPC on one API?
Yes, yes, we do have. So it's available on the website. Maybe I can share that link with you, Sandeep ji. Maybe you can post it on your website.
Right,
There
sure.
is a white paper on the HPC
Mhm.
applications on one
Right,
API. I'll share you the link.
right. So another question is, can we request for a new app to be put in Tyrant Qubits Cloud? Of course, yes. This is what we want to do. So suppose you have got a request and you want another containerized application for you. You have got certain things which you have put in, and you want us to do that. We will be very, very eager to do it for you. So that comes as a one of the support part which we try to do for our customers basically on Kubites. Yeah. I think that's all we have for today. Uh, so thank you so much for your time. I will make this over to Samantha now.
Okay. What if you see there is a banner on the top of your screen for everybody? So just kindly take a few minutes to help complete the feedback form, so that we can continue to improve our webinars for our audience. Also, if you have any further questions, right, you can go ahead and write to us at info@netwebtech.com. Okay. We are in the process of planning our second Tyrone Intel One API series webinar. Please look up you through our social media platforms. We will be announcing which date it will be on, so you can follow up on that. And also, if you're wondering how to get any of like the resources, videos, PPT, and everything, we'll be posting it on our Tyrone blog, which we will post also on our social media, so you can access that. Okay. So thank you so much, everybody, and just kindly help us fill up the feedback form. I think there's one more question. Do you want to answer those?
Yeah,
Since waiting for them to
yeah.
fill up.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Ritesh, one question is there. DPC++ is a programming language, whereas one API is a programming interface. So does one API uses DPC++ as the backend?
At the Yeah, so basically it's the answer is yes, because one API is a suite of tools, like as we have this Parallel Studio is a suite of tools, right? Like it has compilers, it has libraries, it has analysis tools. So like that, one API is a suite of tools. So DPC++ is a component, I would rather say, which is part of one API. So DPC++ is a programming language, whereas one API toolkit is a set of components.
Okay.
And I also posted that, Sandeep, the question on the white paper on the
Right.
application, HPC application. So I posted it